Let's get you situated so you can see what's going on. As I describe in the description, I cut down a willow tree recently and harvested some of the offcuts to use as fire pit seating. The chainsaw cuts weren't entirely smooth nor perpendicular to the offcut, so they're currently a bit wonky to sit on. I made a router sled out of aluminum angle iron and some plywood offcuts. I'm supporting the sled by a couple of sawhorses, raising up the workpiece using a stand constructed of scrap 2x3s and some plywood I reclaimed from a shipping container. The setup will not win any awards for most perfectly levels, but it should be sufficient for getting these offcuts good enough for fire pit seating. And if it's not good enough, I can always burn the offcuts. So with that said, I'm going to turn on the chat and turn down my laptop volume. Hey, Woodchuck, I see you there already. And all right. So this is the aforementioned Willow offcut that I'm working on first. Got it on the platform, kind of raised the platform up a bit. Got these sawhorses. I actually raised the sawhorses up a little bit with the these little plywood offcuts here. And this is, let me take the router down for a second and just show you the really simple router sled. So just used some aluminum angle iron and then just cut some plywood strips to 6 inches, drilled through the angle iron on either side. And yeah, just have those little pieces of plywood. And then the plywood on the bottom can act as a lip for whatever it's sitting on. And the plywood here makes it so that my sled stays together and so that my router doesn't go off the edge. All right, so the router I'm using is a Bosch EVS 1615, Bosch 1615 EVS. Picked this guy up used a while back for pretty cheap because that is how I typically do things. I like to get things for very cheap. So it's just the way I roll. All right, so I'm going to be utilizing the depth gauge on this guy, and I'll just try to see. My highest point right now is there. So let me just adjust this guy so that I'm not trying to take off too much all at once. All right. And just so you can see how the depth gauge works. I got this guy, whoa, right here. So I can lock in how, where this guy is at. And then I can just take one step at a time here. So I'm just taking off a little bit of material for each step. And that just makes it a little bit safer as I'm moving along. All right. So all that said, let me check the old chat, see if there are any questions before I get going here. Woodchucker, you ready to rock and roll? Sweet. Nice router. Yeah, it's it's the best router that I'm going to be using on this today. And if you look in the distance over there, there's a big old offcut of Willow. And just to the right of that is the stump that I've been grinding down and burning down on some of my other live videos. You know what, maybe, well, maybe if you guys want to see the status of the stump, let me know in the comments or in the chat, and I will, if you guys care about it, then maybe I'll take you for a little trip all the way over to the stump and just see where it's at right now. In the meantime, let's get to routing. So I'm just going to go to my first setting here and let her rip. That's taken off very, very little, just at this very top point. So, and there's a pretty drastic difference between the low end and the high end. So I'm going to be taking off quite a bit over here before I do anything on this end. And that might be pretty close to all I need to do on this setting. Yeah. Yeah. Looks like I've already taken off everything I can at this setting. So I'm going to go down a setting. All right. All right. Looks like I've already exhausted that. Down another setting here. Right. Getting through these settings pretty quickly. And as I get into the taking more and more off at per pass, I think I'm going to go just from this side and then just double back so that I'm not trying to cut new stuff going this direction, because it can get a little squirrely that way with the router. So when you're routing an edge, you want to go from left to right. If you're on a router table, generally you want to go from right to left, because on the router table the bit is upside down. So you just go the opposite of what you would when you've got the router like this. Next step down, and just check the chat, see if you guys have any questions as I'm moving along here. Overmore, can't see. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Should I go for it? You know, I'm not sure how to turn on moderators. If you can let me know how to do that, that'd be fine with me. Hey, Vineyard, good to see you. Setup, very custom. Yeah, this is definitely a custom setup. I don't like paying for things. I am, as my wife likes to say, very frugal. And then she mutters cheap under her breath. Let's see. And Let's see. And hey, LJ, good to see you. Click on the name, give them, and just do mortal moderator. There we go. All right. All right. Hopefully that works. All right. All right. So let's see. I think I already adjusted this one. So I just remembered, Woodchucker, you asked over more. Am I not in screen? Are you able to see everything? Let me know what you wanted to see better, and I can reposition things. So when I was looking at it earlier, I thought that would be good positioning, but I could be wrong. Let me just give you a view of the top of this offcut. Maybe not the best view, but gives you a bit of an idea of what we're working with here. And oh, before I started, all right. I was showing the two. Okay, all right. Moving right along. And I don't remember seeing any comments about whether or not you guys want to see the current state of the Willow stump, the where this guy came from over there. But let me know if you'd like to see that or not. All right, last setting for this depth stop here, and then I will have to reset things. All right. And I'm going to loosen that guy up. I'm just adjusting my depth guide. Okay. Now I can go lower step by step. Slow process, I know, but all right. So, oh, you know what? Sometimes I'm not seeing all the chat because I don't say give me everything, so it just gives the top stuff. But perfect. All right. Oh, and Woodchucker, since you are acting as moderator here, if you wouldn't mind just adding in links for any other creators that pop into the chat for their channels. You could start off with Creation Does 777. I was just watching his live. He does some pretty awesome carving. Woodchucker, make sure you put your link in there too. And Woodchucker does some pretty cool chainsaw carving as well. I thought about trying to carve some of this willow up, but I found a lot of metal in it, and I don't really want to destroy my chainsaw blade. So I think I'm probably going to leave the chainsaw carving to the experts, at least for now. Maybe when I get something that I'm confident there's not any metal in, then I might try doing something like that, but probably not. All right, keep going here. For any of you that were watching the live last night, I was working on a different offcut, but it was I was having some difficulty with keeping it steady. It felt like the sawhorses weren't entirely level, or weren't staying still. But what I found is that actually my stand had an issue because I made this stand down here just out of this scrap 2x3s. Just screwing some plywood, some reclaimed plywood into those 2x3s, and I've got one in the middle because I was worried that the weight of these guys would be too much and just crack the plywood if I just had it on the corners. But what I found when I tried setting things up today is that my middle leg, it was the same size. I cut them all using a stop block on my crosscut sled. Speaking of my crosscut sled, I think I've released a video about that last week. So if you want to see my crosscut sled in action, you can check that out. But anyway, I used the stop block on the crosscut sled to make sure they were all equal length. But there was a little bit of foam and stuff from this old shipping container plywood in the middle that was not on the edges, and so the middle leg was sticking up a little bit higher than the corners, and so my stand was rocking a little bit, and I didn't really notice that until today. So I was like, oh, no wonder I was having some difficulty with keeping the piece stable. This one is a lot flatter on the bottom than the one yesterday, but I've still got a shim in there just to try and make sure it stays pretty secure in there. So let me check any questions here. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Oh, and hey, Woodchucker, don't forget to put your own channel in there. And always wondered why we don't use a plane rather than a router for jobs like this. Still mounted to a sled, whatever. Yes, I am flattening it. That's a good question. Why not just use a plane? I have a powered and electric hand plane that I used for some other fire pit seating over there. And what I decided is that I'm not very good at using the electric hand plane as far as actual manual, non-electric hand planes. I only have a couple and they're not very good. And so that's why I'm using this, because I have it rather than a hand plane. Hand plane, I suppose, would do just as well, if not better. And it would save me some electricity. Maybe I'll think of acquiring some more hand planes. But as I mentioned earlier, I like to do everything for cheap. So I'd have to find them on Facebook Marketplace or garage sale or something, someone trying to get rid of them for not very much money, because I just don't like to pay for things. So anyway, keep going here. But going back to that question of, using a hand plane versus a router versus, all sorts of other options, isn't it cool that there's so many different ways to accomplish the same task? You get to pick what you prefer. So kind of cool that way. Uh-oh, somebody's trying to make a call. I'm trying to screw up my live feed here, since I'm using the camera on my phone. Potential spam, of course. So I definitely need to take that call. And let's see. Yeah, flattening. We'll do hitting bears. Yeah, using your phone. Yeah, I am using the phone. You flip the screen, see the comments in front of you. Yeah, I don't like the reversing of the view, and maybe there's a way to not have it do the mirror image if I'm using the camera facing me. But anyway, I've got a little laptop here next to the setup, so I can check things out periodically. All right. Let's see, what's the question there? Wouldn't get the depth of a plunge router, yeah. Okay, electric plane mounted to a similar system. Oh, okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. And let's see. I guess I'm not seeing the question from Kevin. And yeah, using what I have. Yep. Cut a straight line. Couldn't, yeah. Flat the luggage, yep. Yeah, with the, I could just, yeah, I mean, I guess I could use the chainsaw to you know, just level it off, and maybe that would be quicker and easier, maybe. But then I wouldn't get to do this. And I guess I had this in my mind for some other projects, so I figured I'd try this out. So on we go. I feel like that's a deeper pass than I was getting before. Maybe I doubled up. Maybe I lowered it before I checked the chat and then lowered it again. Who knows? Either way, seems like the router's able to handle it. All right. Oh, you know what? That released partway through, so it didn't actually, or did it? There we go. And I'm trying not to remove more than half the width of the bit at a time. So just try to make it a little safer and all that good stuff. moment. Let me just give you a updated close-up of the stump. I guess it's not really a stump, but the offcut here. Okay. Yeah, Kevin, I figured you were trying to answer his question rather than asking a question to yourself. How would a chainsaw work in the plane the teeth? That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure, Jay. Power planer blades, stupid expensive compared to a router bit. Yeah. A little bit of play. Yeah. Yeah, this is, you know, definitely more precise than a chainsaw, and possibly more precise than an electric, you know, hand planer. Definitely more precise than a hand planer when I'm using it. So others are probably much better with it than I am. And so yeah, being able to cut straight. Yeah, I can typically cut pretty straight, Kevin, but I don't remember if I cut this one or if I had some people come help me with breaking down the tree. So it might have been someone else that cut it. I think this one probably was me, but I was cutting it off a pretty big log and just tried to getting it broken down rather than worrying about how straight the cut was. And then I could use the chainsaw to clean it up now, but I'd rather not bother trying to, you know, shave off a little bit with the chainsaw. That can, yeah, I think that's probably got more risk to it for me than just doing it this way. And hi, Angelo. Good to see you. Where are you watching from? Let's go down another step here on the plunge router. Didn't even really feel like a step, so I'm actually going to go down another step here. Oh. I think the limiting factor is not the step. I think it's that the plunge won't go down any further than that. So that is why it wasn't going anymore. All right, so that is as deep as I can go with the current setup, which means I need to change the current setup. So let me remove the router and the sled, and I just drilled these little pieces of plywood onto the top of the sawhorses last night when I was working on a different offcut. So I'm just going to take them off of the sawhorses now. And if I need them later, I can use them later. If not, I can use them for something else. Or if nothing else, I can just burn them. So that gives me another, 5/8 or whatever that I can get a little closer down. And I'll just set my depth again. All right. Let's see if we've got any questions. Okay. All right. Oh, and let me know if, or maybe you've already let me know by not saying anything about it. But if you want to see the stump where this offcut came from, what's remaining of it anyway, I've been working on getting rid of it with chainsaw, with fire, whatever I could. With the fire mostly because I found metal in the stump, so I didn't really want to risk my chainsaw. But I've since removed the metal and got it down pretty much below ground level, so I'm pretty much ready to just cover it with dirt. But I was talking with another YouTuber at Dad's workshop. Calvin is his name, at Dad's workshop, and he was telling me that I should introduce some fungus or fungi, I guess, into the stump to help it decompose faster. My concern was that I've got a little apple tree that I've planted right next to the stump. That's part of why I wanted the willow gone, was to put in a little apple tree and a little dwarf cherry tree. Yeah, so if you know if that's a good idea, where's the best place to get mushroom spores? So, all right, we will recommence here. Going back to, I think, Jay's comment earlier about other methods that maybe get the job done and get it done faster. This definitely does provide a smoother finish than just using a chainsaw. But this finish isn't nearly as smooth as if I had maybe a nicer router sled setup. Because you can see, even though I've mostly secured that, this can still rock a little bit. My sawhorses can rock a little bit. So there's all sorts of different variables that aren't making this perfectly smooth, but it's just going to be seeding for a fire pit. So it's not like it needs to be perfect. It's just going to be out in the weather and degrading and everything over time anyway. So I figure it's good enough method for what it's going to be used for. All right. So let's give you another view here on the progress. Still haven't gotten it low enough for about half the stump, or half the workpiece. Again, not really a stump, I guess, but maybe it is appropriate to call it a stump. What do you guys think? Or should I be calling it something else entirely? Yeah, Woodchucker, make sure you get your link in there too if you haven't already. Thanks for doing that. That was not staying in there. So I probably need to figure out why it is that my plunge is not staying put. Happened a couple times last night as well. If anyone knows anything about these, Bosch 1615 EVSs, and getting the plunge to stay engaged, because it's sneaking up on me sometimes. So I noticed, because I cut a somewhat deep on this first pass, and then as I was getting to the second and third passes, I was like, why is this not removing nearly as much material? So I've got a section here that looks a bit rotted, and actually in here as well. So that's kind of chipping out. A little concerned about how that'll go. Maybe I should just cut that chunk out and then just work with the rest of it, but we'll see how it goes. Getting more and more it done. Let me show you that rotted section I'm talking about. Yeah, that looks like rot to me. Anyone else think differently? Good. Yeah. Thin CA. I'm not sure what that means, LJ. Thin CA. Are you talking about this right here? Is that what you're referring to as thin CA? Because I am not sure what you mean by that. Yeah, one thing I'm not a big fan of is, whether this is rotted or not, it seems to be yanking chunks out as I go past that part. So I just need to be careful not to be standing over here because, yeah, that could be dangerous. All right. And I think this is the last setting. All right. I'm going to reset my plunge here again. Oh, you know what? Not gonna matter because that's as low as it'll go. All right, so I can't remove the plywood off of the top of the sawhorses because I already did that. So the next thing I can do, since I've already gotten down to the lowest point that the plunge router will go with this setup, I can either lower my bit so that less of the shank is being held, which I don't want to do because I like having a lot of the shank being held by the router. And my other option is raising up the workpiece, which is what I think I will do. But that's going to require a little bit of effort here. So I think I'm just going to get some more plywood and stick it under the on the platform and raise up the workpiece that way. So I need to move my router and sled out of the way. And so you guys can see kind of the, this is a bit messy. So it, part of the reason why I didn't want to do this in the shop is I didn't want to have to clean up the mess. I'm lazy that way. So I'm going to go find some plywood to put underneath that, and I'll just be in the shop for a moment. And let's see, I'm not seeing stuff that's as wide as I want, and I don't really want to cut stuff up just to use for this. So I'll just go with this stuff that's maybe a little narrower than I'd like, but can probably get the job done. Let me just test and see if I can get away with putting both of them on. I've got enough room for that. Plenty. So I'm going to put both of those. Now, the other thing I could do is say, hey, you know what? I flattened it a lot. Maybe just cut off this potentially rotted part and say that's flat enough. So why don't you let me know in the chat, what do you think I should do? Raise this up by putting the plywood underneath and try and level it some more. Just cut this off, call it good enough. What are your thoughts? Tell me, oh great internet viewers. Yeah, that's rotted. How far goes it? Yeah, I think it looks like, let me see if I can show you without damaging the rest of the setup. Whoa. So I cut off a segment here that, you know, was another branch coming out. And so it looks like the rotted part just goes in here and then comes out here. So I think that's the extent of the rot there. You know, I could be wrong, but that's my hope anyway, is that that's the only part that's rotted. So, and see if we can get that situated again. All right, let's see what other ideas you have here. Thin CA. Oh, okay, thin CA. You're talking about using some super glue to solidify it, harden it. Gotcha. Made the slide jig to groove down the log precisely. It's a great idea. Thumbs up. Yeah, everybody, thumbs up. I appreciate that. And subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate that too. Let's see. Like button, good for the garden. Yeah, I was thinking last night I took the really easy path and just used the blower and blew all the shavings into the yard, into the lawn. But I'm thinking I might kind of sweep up some of these wood chips and use them for mulch, either around the new apple and cherry trees or for the garden. I'm not sure which. Let's see. Put a level across your sawhorses. See how far up you got to go. Okay. And am I planning to do any shaping on the top? I wasn't planning to do any shaping on the top. Do you have any ideas for what I should do for shaping on the top? Are you thinking for like doing something around the edging or something else? I'm curious now. You've piqued my interest. I hadn't thought about shaping anything. So what do you mean, LJ? Take this chainsaw, cut it down, see if you can get rid of the rotted part, and continue with your idea. Okay. Point the dip toward the fire pit. Spot for the boys. Okay. Yeah. So you measure off the stump to the bottom of the level. This is how high you have to raise the stump. Yeah. So, I mean, I've got this. You're saying put a level across the top of the sawhorses, but I mean, this gives me the same height as if I were to use a level. Is there some benefit to using a level that I'm not grasping at the moment? And then I can, measure right there, that distance. Is that what you're trying to say? Or just to measure that distance between the top of the the top of the sawhorses and the lowest point of the stump. I keep calling it a stump, even though it's. I mean, is this a stump really? What do you guys think? Should I be calling it a stump, or I think I said offcut in the description and title. But anyway, so yeah, about 3 inches between the bottom of this and the lowest point of there. And right now I'm about 2 inches of what I've cut to the bottom here. So I have about another inch to remove, if that answers your question. I'm not sure, but because you might have been asking something that I'm still not grasping. So we'll check the old comments here again. Okay, yeah, 3 inches. Yep. Making a more comfortable seat for the butt. Oh, yeah. No, I hadn't considered that. Just put an outdoor pad on the top. Yeah, I could do a pad. It's a stump until it's something else. All right. A stump log. All right. Raise the stump with a 2x4. Oh, okay. Becomes the backbreaker 4000. Yeah. Yeah. So if I did a 2x4, I'd probably have to do 2 of them. If I do the plywood, it's not the full width, but it might. But yeah, the 2x4 gives me, yeah, the if I do the 2x4, the short side, I'd be 1.5 inches. If I do the opposite side, gives me 3.5, and 3.5 is probably too much. So let me just find a couple 2x4s, or actually, if I use 2x3s, let's see, 2x4. You know what? I'm not seeing. Well, there's something that could work, but I don't really want to cut any 2x4s for this. And the 2x4 scrap that I have right now is not really that long. So I'm not sure that I want to use partial 2x4s, because then that could introduce more rocking. So I think I'm just gonna try putting the plywood under there. And then when I get to the max depth that I can do with that plywood, I might not even get to the max depth, because my plywood, I've got these two plywood sheets. Combined, they're going to be more than 1 inch, which is probably all that I would need to lower anyway, or raise it up. So I'm just going to move forward with that. So take that out, try and get some of these wood chips and sawdust out of the way. And I wonder if I can just prop it up enough. All right, so that worked, except now I've got the plywood right in my work zone. All right, that should work. Well, maybe. Let me twist him a little bit. And call that good enough. And I think I'll still try to shim over here. And all right. Just got to be careful not to go off the edge, because there we go. All right. I don't really have anything to stop the sled from going off, so I'm just trying to be really careful not to overextend there. And let me make sure my sawhorses are still somewhat firmly situated. All right. Get the router back in place here. And all right. And let's see how you guys are roasting me in the chat here. Get going. Hey, thanks, Woodchecker. Appreciate it. Make sure to get your link for your channel in the chat if you haven't already, or even if you have already, just do it again. And put those plywood pieces under the legs. Yeah, the legs are a little. My problem with doing that is, let me free up the camera from the tripod here. The trouble with doing that is that my sawhorse legs are extending past where the legs would go. And so really I'd have to use 3 different pieces of plywood, one on this side of the sawhorses, one in the middle, and then one on the other side of the sawhorses. And so I think just having the plywood in the middle, or just having the plywood on top of the stand is probably going to work better for my purposes today than trying to do it under the stand. I did think about that, but I know sometimes it doesn't look like I'm thinking at all, but believe me, sometimes I actually think about what I'm doing first. And I'm not sure if that makes me look better or worse. And let's see. All right, so Kevin and LG, I just made you moderators. Hope that's okay with you. And you don't roast anyone. Those 4 legs. Okay. Are you talking about the stand? The stand is actually 5 legs. So I've got 2 legs on either side and then one in the center. I figured that the 2 on the the 4 in the corners would be good for setting the right height, but I wanted to have one in the center because I was thinking probably these stump logs weigh enough to just crack the plywood if I didn't have some support right in the middle where where that weight was really going to be coming down. So it's 5 legs on the stand rather than just 2, 3, 4, whatever. So anyway, I'll get to routing some more here. And let me see if I already set that. No. Okay. Yeah, it wobbles a bit, but I'll just try to be, I'm gonna throw another shim on the other side. Actually, I'm gonna throw 2. Why 2? Because I have 2 more out here. That should be better. All right. If I die, I hope it's at least entertaining. Right now, I'm trying to be cognizant of where this rot spot is because I think more chunks are going to be flying out. So I'm going to try turning the router a little bit so it's more likely to go that way instead of right toward me. And I'm also going to try to stand over here where I'm more protected from the log. One advantage of having the plywood over the top of the sawhorses earlier is that it was a little bit smoother. I've got, you know, a few different things that hang this up a little bit as I'm shifting it back and forth. Whereas with the plywood, the only issues were where I'd put the screws in. So. It was like I was getting a little bit of movement from the sawhorse there. All right, and I'll be really careful because I'm getting pretty close to the edge of the sawhorse. So I don't want to go over. All right, I think I'll need to shift it around to get over there, which I might just do afterwards. I think I'll just get as much as I can done here, get down to where it's pretty level, and then worry about that section over there. Maybe shift the position and everything so it's easier to get to. All right. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, if you're not questioning yourself, you're not doing it right. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you're working with something this powerful, it's good to consider all sorts of different possibilities. And yeah, we'll check out Woodchucker's channel. He does some pretty cool carvings. Thanks, LJ, for putting the link in there. Um, and nobody has ever decided by a makeshift router sled. I'm not sure what that means, Kevin. Maybe nobody has ever decided by a makeshift router sled except for that one time. Okay. All right. Clickable on iPad. Yeah, I see the link was clickable for me too. Hey, Baby Kick, this is good to see you. You're in here just for the fun part. Woodchuck, are you just leaving because Baby Kisses is here now? That's sad. Shaving lessons, yeah. We got lots of shavings, man, lots of shavings. We're gonna have some more here in a second. Okay, what are we making? I'm just trying to cut down these stump logs into some level seating for around the fire pit. So using the router because why not? I've got it. It'll work, I hope. And put a round pillow on top. Could be a mushroom, yeah. Do I have a flush trim saw? I've not really. I've got some saws. You're talking about a hand saw, a flush trim saw. Yeah, yard cleanup. I'll if you'd like, I can show you the current status of the stump. I was asking earlier, and nobody seemed that interested. But Baby Kisses, if you're interested, I'll show you. The small section you can't. Oh, okay. All right. Made one of those flattening jigs. Yeah, I know what you mean. I actually made this. I made this flattening jig for some benches that I made for around the fire pit that I actually need to revisit and fix up a little bit. But oh, and you know, Ray and Sandy, good to see you. And all right, you do want to see Baby Kids? All right, I figured you probably would. Well, I'll just take a little break now and show you the stump. I was kind of aching to show everyone earlier, but no one cared. So here we go. All right. So there's a big chunk that is. I'm not sure what to do with that. I cut through it right there and hit metal, and I cut through it right there and hit metal, and we started trying to do some wedges and stuff on it, but I think yeah, not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that, but I think if I approach it from a different angle, I'll be able to cut it up into smaller segments and do something with it. But here's the current status on the stump. So I've got it pretty much to ground level. It's actually below ground level on most of it, and so I've just been kind of cutting down into it with the chainsaw, hoping not to hit dirt because I don't want to go down too low and dull the blade. So then I'll, I was thinking of putting some fungus on it and letting that decompose it faster, or I'll just cover it with dirt and mulch. If only I could find some mulch somewhere. Does anyone know where I could find some mulch? Anyway, let me get you situated back over here. So there's the stump that I've been itching to show and nobody wanted to see. Thanks for requesting it, Baby Kisses. And Woodchucker, like, of course he does. Of course Woodchucker likes you, Baby Kisses. I'm just teasing. That's what I do. I was listening to a podcast, Smartless, earlier today as I was mowing, and they had Amy Poehler on as the guest, and she said that teasing is kind of a love language. So if I'm not teasing you, then well, who knows? All right, let's see. Did I already lower that? Yeah, I did. Don't want to lower it again. All right, here we go. I'm going to reposition myself a little bit as I'm working on that rotted section again. All right. I was just thinking it might be nice for you all to get a little bit different angle. Be able to see as the router cuts through. Let me see if I can get this tripod positioned in such a way that without the, I can't even see the screen now because the sun. Let me see it, that, is that too close, too far away? All right. Oh, there we go. I accidentally zoomed in, I think. All right. Is that a better view? You guys like that? Or should I go back to where it was before? Let's see. Dinner's ready. Oh, LJ, hope you enjoy dinner. Awesome stuff. Yeah, you know what? It's not too terrible. Go eat. Everyone's going to eat already. Must be later than I realized. Few tiny levels on this little saw. Make sure stuff is flush. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Let's try it. I don't like these sawhorses rocking as much as they're rocking as I'm moving back and forth. I'm not sure there's much I can do about it, but all right. All right, clear the danger here. All right, so tell me how you like that camera view. Is it better, worse than what we had before? You want to stick with this camera view or change it to what it was? Let me know what you think. Router. Hit the chainsaw on its side and cut it. Yeah, wouldn't be as flat. Yeah, yeah. If Creation Dust or Bear wants to come and cut it, that might be just as nice. Spot for my fires. Yep. You know what? We like the backyard. It's the limbs are gone. Yeah, all the limbs are gone. Lot cleaned up. Yep. Not a lazy. Well, you know, baby kisses. It depends on the day. Lazy guy. Some days I'm feeling a lot more lazy than others. But you know what? I used to be a lot lazier, but I've got you know, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes a while back, and I was pre-diabetic for quite a while, but then I finally was into the diabetic range, and so my doctor decided that it was time to try some different medication, and so went on Mounjaro, which is similar to Ozempic. He said it's actually better, and since doing that, I've dropped probably let's see, as of the last time I weighed myself, I was down probably 70 or 80 pounds, maybe more. And so I'll tell you what, you lose 70 or 80 pounds, and actually that's not even the full extent of what I lost, because I dropped some weight before even starting on Mounjaro. So in all, I've dropped over 120-ish pounds since my heaviest. So back then, like, I would go and play basketball, but I wasn't really playing that hard. Now I go to basketball, I'm running most of the time. I just have a lot more energy than I used to. So that's been a nice side effect of this of the weight loss that's come along with that Mounjaro. And my A1C is in normal range, so that's pretty awesome too. But anyway, lots of benefits. All right, back to cutting. Oh, baby kisses. You asked why not? I've already got a big chunk of it flattened. Why not just go with that? It's like I'm so close to having the rest of it flattened. Let's just finish the job, right? Oh, and let me know. Is this view better, or did you like it better from the other angle? One of the benefits of you having this angle rather than the other is that I'm probably not in the shot as much. So that's probably much more pleasing to the eye. really don't like the sawhorses rocking back and forth like that. So let's see. I can do. If anything, make them more stable. Huh. Got a little piece of wood chip inside my safety glasses there. That's nice. That adjustment to the sawhorses made it a little bit lower, so I was actually cutting a little deeper than what I've cut already. So. And okay. All right. The sun bleeds out. Have you got that last little line done? Little hole in the heart. In the heart of the stump, you mean? And put the black bear there. Yeah, pretty clean right now. And again, working miles. Your back. Oh, you hurt your back. Good. Well, your shirt blows like Marilyn Monroe. I'm not sure that anyone has ever compared me to Marilyn Monroe before. They've probably contrasted me with Marilyn Monroe, but pretty sure I have not been compared with her like that before. And smiles and eyes. Yeah, I guess they can say a lot. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. How's that, Kevin? Happy birthday to you. I just need to go up another octave or two, right? All right. And all right, what else we got? From Kraken. Okay, for the you're saying the stump to keep the stump from cracking, or are you talking about the are you talking about this workpiece that I should drill a hole in the heart? Because I don't know that I was ever aware of that, but maybe that makes sense. Oh, woodchucker's back. Good. Trying out some stuff. There and boss lady. Okay. All right. Well, glad that my Marilyn Monroe impression was at least entertaining, if not spot on. I think this might be the last pass that we need to level that piece out right there. So let's see. And then I can come work on this ledge over here that I'm hoping I don't crack and cause some issues when trying to cut that part down. Myself a little bit more leeway with the cord here. All right, I think that's flattened all the way over here. So now I think I will just try shifting this over a bit so that I can go at this last piece here. And I'm going to come over to the other side because that'll be a lot easier for me to reach. And since I'm doing that, I will try to give you a better angle. Hopefully this doesn't make the sun glare things out for you. Let me know in the comments. Let's see. All right. The stump I'm working on. Okay, so how big of a hole should I drill in the center? Are you saying all the way through? Because otherwise it seems like it would pool the water and lead to rot. It'll slow down the cracking if I drill into the center. All over the piece. Okay. It cracks toward the center, not from the center out. Okay. Kind of relief cut. Okay. Yeah, cool. We'd like to see the little bear. Silicone lube for the sled will help with the friction grab. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think I waxed it before, but it's been a while since I've used it, so probably should at least do that again. And big drill bit, do both on top and bottom. So you thinking just drill in the center, not necessarily having to go all the way through, just drill a hole in the top and bottom in the center? Am I catching what you're laying down, baby kisses? And hopefully this camera isn't too much in my way. Let's, whoa, there we go. All right, and I need to reset for here, figure out where my depth gauge needs to be. Set that. All right. And I'm going to take this in pretty small passes because I don't really want this chipping out a lot, but I'm worried that it will anyway. But you know what? If we need to, we can level it some more later. So anyway, let me get my shims back in place to the extent possible. All right. And here we go. Wish me luck. Or disaster, whatever you'd prefer to see. I was thinking maybe I shouldn't remove this ledge at all, because then I'd have a little bit of a seat back for people. I'll just keep going. Are you even able to see anything with this angle? Yeah, cut into the heart, silicone scary spray on, wipe off. Got this. You know what I have? I have been a pretty good thumb wrestler, but my hands really aren't that big. And angle is perfect. Okay, good. Then I will keep going until I hear differently. One of the nice things about switching over to this side is that it seems to be a little bit more shaded than the other side was. I started out in the shade, but for some reason the shade has left me. But it looks like it's coming back here pretty quick. So does anyone have any fun Memorial Day plans? How do you celebrate the holiday? this might be our last pass, possibly. It's not perfectly smooth, but as my granddaddy used to say, it's good enough for who it's for. So move the router, move the sled. Let me see if I can get you, well, I'm not going to worry about that. It would require more tripod manipulation than I want to bother with right now. So, and baby kisses thought I'm not lazy. Ha, funny. All right. I had to blow the sawdust off the phone there. Okay. Let me catch up on chat. Did BK? Oh, you did responding to baby kisses. Gotcha. I was like, well, you did BK. Well, like, what are you even talking about, Kevin? All right. You did, comma, BK. All right. Big difference in the meaning there between I did BK and I did, comma, BK. So punctuation matters, people. All right. What did you even say? Let's see here. I lost my place now. Okay. Did BK, hello, lots of fun. I always lose. It's fun though. Okay. Youngest coming to get her bear. Cool. It's getting full. Oh, that could be. Go some 60 grit. It'll be perfect. Okay. You know what? I think it will be a pretty good seat. So the other side was already pretty flat. I think I must have been the one to cut this one. It's one of the other people, I'm sure, who cut the other side, because there's no way I would have cut it so screwy-wampus. But we did have a lot of people come and help us with the tree, cutting it down, breaking it down, hauling it off. So to Baby Kisses' earlier comment about my laziness or lack thereof. A lot of the work that's been done around here relating to the Willow, at least, got done by other people who were kind enough to come and help. So I'm not going to take credit for everything that's happened around here, just for most of the stuff. All right, I think I'm going to flatten this other side too, just because. Shouldn't really matter because the fire pit seating over there, it's got some gravel, so a little bit of unevenness. It's going to be fine, not really that noticeable, but I'll just want to make it so it's nice and even on both sides, and that way no matter which side is facing up, it'll still be okay. Looks like there is some rot here in this section too, so all right, I'm going to reset my depth gauge. And you know what, I might be pretty close to maxing it out anyway. So yeah, I think this is as low as it'll go at my current setting without putting any more plywood. So I'm just going to do a single pass at this depth, and it probably won't take much off, but it'll take off what it takes off, and then we call it good. That yeah, yep. So that's probably it for that setup, unless I want to go and get another piece of plywood to stick underneath the. That's going to be as good as it's going to get for now. So, beautiful piece of wood. Yeah, It's not terrible, but you know, I'm a little concerned about, you know, this spot here. Looks like it's more rot. And you can see the chainsaw marks here that we weren't able to remove, but just a little bit of lip there. And I'll just plan on this being face down at the fire pit spot. So let me go move it. And I think I'll grab, actually, let me get these shims out of the way first. All right, and I'm going to roll it over to the fire pit area. I already proved I can pick it up. I don't have to prove I can carry it, do I? All right, almost got it in place over here. You know what? I'm actually going to put that second side up because the other side is wider, so it's probably a better base to go with. And I'm going to bring the other stump over. This is one I was working on last night. I got one side mostly done, but I realized that my stand had some issues with it, but I didn't realize that until I was setting it up earlier today. So almost there, almost there. All right. This one is a little taller, so I don't know if I'm going to need the plywood on there, and I don't really want to be lifting it up any more than I have to because of my laziness. So 17 to there, about 18 to the top there. And then figure out where I put my sled. Do I need the plywood or do I not need the plywood? Okay, so that only gives me 15-ish inches. And I need 18-ish. So that gives me 17-ish. So it looks like I need to put my plywood strips back on the sawhorses. So, all right. Let's see, this one went here and that one went there. So try to reuse the same holes as before so that I'm not putting in any more holes than necessary. Trying to make it as flush as I can so that the sled doesn't drag on the screw. All right. And same thing over here. Try to reuse. Easier if I'm not holding the impact driver, probably. There we go. All right. Should work. So we improvise. Find a problem. Find a solution to the problem, right? So try to clear off the wood chips and sawdust. This is the side we did last night. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for now, because this side needs a lot more work. All right. All right. Let me get things situated. All right. And get the router sled. Got a little bit of clearance. All right. And for those that maybe joined later, the router I'm using is this Bosch 1615 EVS. I got it used a little while back from, I think it was like a carpentry shop, cabinetry shop, something like that. They were probably getting much newer stuff, and so didn't need this guy anymore. So, all right, let me shim him up a little bit, even though he should be relatively flat, but I know he's not all the way flat because I didn't flatten him very well last night because of the issue with the stand I mentioned earlier. That shim won't go in, so I think we're just going to use the 2 shims. All right. See what I've missed in the chat here. But pour some epoxy. Yeah, you know what? I've got some other benches that I made out of a log. I cut the log into slabs and didn't really flatten them very well. That goes back to the electric hand planer that I was talking about earlier. Used that on those slabs, and they're not perfect. I was thinking after the fact, oh, I should have done something with the router sled. And I actually did end up making this router sled to use on the underside of those benches, so that I could, clear out some space to be able to do a mortise and tenon. And I didn't do the mortise and tenon very well, but they've mostly stayed intact. But I had a really poor design on a couple of them. And if you'd like, I can show you what I mean by those. I also made a video about them. It was one of my first videos, actually, probably like the 3rd or 4th video that I made. But it was well after I'd already completed the benches, because I didn't start this channel until after that project. Yeah, some epoxy. Yeah, I did epoxy on those, and they're not great really. But I think I probably was using the wrong kind of epoxy and or other finish. So, all right. 2 rolls on it, side with the 2x10. Don't hurt my back. Yeah, why not? Log has a smiley face. Yeah, it is. They are kind of heavy logs. That's why I'm making them, leveling them off, so they're not so heavy. Right? That's the whole point, right? And okay, shim is thin, wedge is thicker. What do you call a wedge when it's in a pair or more? If a shim is thin and a wedge is thicker, what do you call a wedge when it's in a pair or more? I don't know if this is a joke, a riddle, or something else, but I'm not sure what I would call a wedge when it's in a pair or more. All right. I'm going to set my depth gauge again. And got my safety equipment in place. I think I'm ready to roll. And the plunge did not lock in, which is why it was cutting less than I expected. Got the sawhorses moving more than I want again. So see if I can't reposition them to get them a little bit more stable. I'm going to reposition that so that I can get the vast majority of this higher section without having to do it in more than one pass. So remove the shims and let's see, wedgies. Gotcha. All right. Should have seen that one coming. All right. That should give me, I think, the vast majority of what I need to cut. All right, let's try that. Wedgies. Should have reverted back to my elementary school days on that one. But don't worry, there's still time. I can do it. I can revert as fast as anyone, much to my wife's chagrin. All right. Just thinking to try and give you guys a better view again. You know if that's any better, or if you want to go back. I think you're right, Kevin. I think my bit is getting pretty dull. It's definitely taken a little bit more effort to get through, and seeing some burning on that pass. But I'm so close. I think I'm. Plus, the bit's probably pretty hot right now to try and sharpen it. So I think I will just try and finish this off. A couple more passes and then call it good. Sharpen it after it cools. Got to be careful with those chunks flying out. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Kids tend not to remember the jokes for very long, right? It's great right there. I'm hoping you're saying the camera angle is what looks great right there. I'm assuming that's what you mean, baby kisses. This chunk might go flying here. Actually, there it goes flying. All right, getting pretty close. Just have these little, you can see the chainsaw marks that they plunged in there. This was probably actually me. I think I did this, so I can blame myself. All right. Oh, I don't know if I put it down and it just didn't lock in, or if I just didn't put it down. Yeah, the bit is, I think, really starting to struggle. So it's pretty good that this is probably the last step that we have to do on this one. And then I'll let it cool down and sharpen it up. Well, that did well. I think my shifting it over made it so I was digging in a little deeper. So I didn't like that. All right, I'm going to try coming around to the other side here. And I'll just start trying to level that back off and probably finish off in the center-ish here. So I don't have that big ledge there, but we'll see if it gets any better or just worse. Oh, that's not great. All right. I think that's good enough. And there's a view from on top. Zoomed in. Get right to the heart of the matter, so to speak. So, all right. Pull some of the sawdust off so I can see what I'm doing. It's time to roll it over to the fire pit area. So, hard to tell when people are joking online. Yeah, sometimes. For me, if I'm writing something on a chat in online, it's probably a joke. So, looks like he fixed it. Looks like I fixed something, or that seems unlikely. So, I'm just going to tip this guy with the stand. And then there's the view of my 5-legged stand. So, and see how it has the this foam. This was the packaging material because I salvaged this plywood from some shipping container. So it had foam, you know, and then this is a separate piece that I attached. It's got the foam in there too, which probably isn't the best for leveling stuff, but you know, whatever. So anyway, then I can just tear that down and reuse the 2x3s and the plywood for some other jig at some later date. So anyway, here I go, rolling along toward the fire pit. Almost there. Okay, there we go. Who wants to see the fire pit seating as it currently stands, even though it's in need of some fixing? Fixed the gal. Oh yeah, it's amazing. Just level it down a little bit and it works. Wood chips are also yard waste if that's done in your local area. Well, I'm going to use the wood chips for mulch. So I don't really want to give up all this good organic material. So I'll either use it around the new trees or covering the old stump, or just on the garden, which I planted some corn in this little spot over here. Really like this house and neighborhood, but I don't like that we've got the main road for the neighborhood just right behind us, especially since it's right there. There's a commonly walked path, and so pretty much everyone can just see into the yard when they're walking from right there. So planted some corn here to give us, you know, a little bit more privacy, but I didn't pull any weeds first. So we'll see how it does. And we've got some garden boxes over here. Got some weeds growing over there. I've got some seeds started inside, but haven't transplanted anything out here yet. But so I might put it over here. And then here's the fire pit area. So there's the fire pit. It's not particularly pretty, but it's a fire pit, you know? It does what it's supposed to do. And here's the log stump we just finished. So that should make for some nice seating. Here's the one we did previously. So that one should work pretty well as well. Somebody decided that it'd be good to put rocks on here. So this is one of the benches that I did from a slab. So I just cut it with the chainsaw into slabs and then use the hand plane to plane it down. And then you can kind of see, oh, let's see. Try and show you the, just used firewood for the legs, and I didn't do the mortise and tenon very well. And so then I just took a glue and wood chip mixture and shoved it in as best I could. But yeah, so that's the bottom side. They looked a lot better shortly after I finished, but yeah, I put epoxy, and then I called the epoxy company and they said not to use it for an exterior application like this because of the UV damage. And I was like, it'll be fine, because I figured I'd just, coat it with some polyurethane and it'd be fine, but it's not. So shortly after I got it done, some of these cracks formed, and there's some sap that's pushing through on a couple of them. So and then this is a really poor design. I was using, again, just firewood for the legs, but I ran out of well, it was two parts. I ran out of the good sized legs like I used on that last one. So I thought, I'll just use these guys. The main problem being that it's just not very stable. So I did two of them like that, and mainly because these were the outside of the log, and so they came to a point. So they were a lot thinner. This one has a little bit more substance than the other. The other one is really thin. So I just didn't think that I'd have enough room to do. Just didn't think I'd have enough room to be able to do legs, 4 legs. Didn't think I'd have enough thickness here to work with, but I probably could have done something like that. But even without doing that, I'm thinking to expand the legs here in some way so that they're not so wobbly. And then I'm also thinking to do something to probably remove the epoxied and polyurethane to top. Actually, just use the router sled or something to smooth it out again. Put down some kind of sealant. I'm not sure what kind of sealant to use to keep sap or whatever else from coming to the surface. But anyway, that's something I'm thinking to improve the situation on those guys. But yeah, if you want to watch the video on these guys, it's one of the first ones I did. Probably not very good, like most of my videos, but especially those early ones. So all right, then we'll head back over here to the mulch pile, and there we go. There's where we've been working. All right. So now just well, I can take the plywood strips off now. And let me know in the comments if you have any, or in the chat if you have any questions about questions or suggestions. Really, I should be soliciting suggestions from the knowledge base, because you guys often give me some pretty good ideas of how to make things better. So yeah, if you have any ideas on what I should do for those benches out of the slabs, I would appreciate your advice. And in the meantime, let me start the cleanup process here. Get those out of the way. Knock off some of the dust. And got all sorts of mulch to use. So I guess maybe that's one of the reasons I did it this way, is to maximize the mulch that I can use in the yard. So, all right, let's see what we've got in the chat. Blow the dust off of the computer here. And okay. Don't use black walnut. Yeah, I don't have any of that. It'll grow right on like your bench. Yeah, you know what? The ones that aren't wobbly work really well. Went up to me or right or high end with all that grain. Yeah, what kind of wood? You know what? I have no idea what kind of wood that was, because we were actually. I'm going to take off my my ear protection now because I'm not running the thing anymore. But here, I'll come over here in the shot so you can see me see me on camera as I read through the messages here. Okay. Yeah, so I have no idea on what kind of wood that is, because when we moved into the house, like 2.5 years ago, whatever it was, we just had this big log over by the fire pit, and I was like, great, you know, this is rustic seating, right? It makes you feel like you're camping. I thought it was awesome. So one day last spring, I was walking through the yard with the missus. She was telling me all the things she hates about the yard. And she's like, oh, the fire pit is ugly. It's just the gray, reddish brick, whatever. She wants it looking nicer. I'm like, and then she's like, the log is ugly. I was like, what? The log is great. But she felt differently. And so I have no idea what kind of wood it was. It was just a log that was by the fire pit. And so I just took the chainsaw, cut it into 4 slabs, and made the benches out of it. So that was a lot of fun. All right. Let's see. Paint rocks for the kids. Epoxy wears off in no time. Even stuff made for full sun epoxy. Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, is there anything? Oh, okay, Kevin. 50 grit to sand it flat. Shoelace is the only thing that peels pine knots and sap. Then you can poly over it for outdoor use. Okay. Shoelace. I'm not familiar with shoelace. So is that just the name of the product, or there's something else going on there? Slow dust. Not sure what you mean by slow dust. I'm gonna take a leaf blower to that. Yeah, that's what I did last night. Which is part of the reason why there was a lot of sawdust in the lawn already. I mowed it earlier, so it's maybe not as prevalent as it was before that. But I figure I'd prefer to use this in the yard rather than just piling it in the lawn. But yeah, that's I enjoyed using the leaf blower for that. Okay, asking chats. Black walnut and flower beds will kill your flowers. Really? So if there's some flowers I don't like, black walnut is the thing to get. Good to know. Thank you. All right. Cross brace those benches at the bottom with a 2x4 to add width. Yeah. Meaning a 2x4 that goes the length of the bench or that extends out. Because I was thinking that my feet to the bench just need to extend out further forward and further back. I think if I have a cross brace but nothing going further forward or back, I think I'd still have the same issue of the benches rocking forward or backward really easily. See, those log timbers, were they black? Railroad ties, black, down, like an upside down T. Okay. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. So, yeah, okay. All right. Walnut isn't sappy. That's great. I don't think I have any walnut. What, why are we talking about walnut? I guess I'm not catching what's going on there. All right. So were those logs timbers and were they black? Kevin, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Were they railroad ties? Are you talking about the log that I made into the benches or something else? Because it was definitely just just a log. It was about 16 or 17 inches wide in diameter, and as long as those benches are. So yeah, willow is a wet wood, very true. So that's what this is. So good times. All right, a round log is safe. Oh, you mean for using this as mulch, or maybe you mean something else. But yeah, this definitely came from the willow. So I know because we just cut it down. But I've been keeping track of those pieces. So so yeah, this should be fine, unless there's some sort of disease, which whatever. So all right, any other questions, concerns, jokes? If not, I think I'm gonna call it a day. I'm not sure if I'm gonna try to put the mulch somewhere yet. I might just leave it here until I fill in the dirt, because over here I still need to whoa, I'm knocking things over, because I still need to put some dirt over the top of this stump and do something with all these chunks of stump that I removed. And I thought these chunks might be good for wood turning, some bowls or vases or something. And so I reached out to a guy I know locally who has a lathe, but he said he's already got too much wood and can't take any more on. So so I just need to decide if I'm going to put any fungi on this stump, or if I'm just going to put some dirt on it. If I'm going to put some dirt on it, I need to figure out where to extract that dirt from. Then put the dirt down, and then maybe just take all that mulch that I just created and put it over the top of the dirt. So I think that's probably my plan for now. But all right, any other questions, concerns, jokes? Oh, here's the new apple tree that is going in right by the old willow. And here's the dwarf cherry tree. It is supposed to get bigger than that, even though it is a dwarf cherry tree. It's supposed to get up to, I think, 6 to 8 feet tall. So not super tall, which is nice because I want to be able to actually harvest cherries from it. And yeah, so still looking for a home for those chunks of willow. If someone wants to do some wood turning and happens to be in the Boise area, let me know and we can rehome those willow chunks for your wood turning pleasure. This stuff, probably just put it down over by the wood pile and burn it up. And then I need to do something with this guy as well. And then baby kisses, I saw your comment earlier about the walking sticks. I've saved these guys over here. So this one in particular. Whoa, there we go. This one in particular, it's kind of like the two sticks wrapping around each other. So it's kind of cool. But it is also a little squirrely and maybe not quite as tall as I'd like for a walking stick for me, but it might work for my wife or daughters or something. And then there's this guy. He's not as visually interesting, I don't think, but it's a good size for a walking stick as long as it doesn't crack. So anyway, some options there for me. And all right. And bring you back to see the mulch pile that you all love. And I will check our chat before I sign off, see if there's any unanswered questions. Okay, round log stay for the bench tops. Railroad ties are poisonous. Okay, good to know. Let me force you guys to see more of me. All right. Okay. Yeah, not railroad ties. Late night burning. Yeah, I might do some more late night burning. I actually did a fire in the actual fire pit last night with my daughter and her friend. They were celebrating the end of classes yesterday. And drill holes to, yeah, I was thinking to possibly do that in the stump. Little fire pieces, yeah, great carving pieces, I figure. And keep them flat until it's dry. Okay. Hey, are you talking about the willow chunks? I probably should do that. I just wasn't really worried about them because I was just getting them out of the way when I was removing stuff from the stump, but not really even thinking about using them for anything. I just thought about it after I'd removed them and just had them sitting over there. Cool to carve. Yeah, the walking sticks. Yeah. Yours didn't crack. Do the dance. Do the dance. I don't dance. What, like? Don't forget to drill it into the heart. Drill it into the heart. Okay. And holes in your seat stumps. Just did Mr. President dance. Hey, Kevin, I hope you have a wonderful birthday, in spite of having to listen to my my rendition of the song in the style of Marilyn Monroe. So, when is your birthday, Kevin? I'm presuming it's not today, but if it is, happy birthday, man. So, all right, I think that's it for me, and I will log off and see you all next time. Not sure what I'll be doing next time, but I'll be doing something. So, and hope you enjoy today, and we'll see you next time. Take care.